Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of Modern Media Review, and that's us into double figures, which is quite pleasing. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Goligly.
And we're going to talk about the Brits, and I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to a very exciting show. As always, maybe some controversy, like with Kanye West. Jarvis Cocker, yeah.
The obvious one.
Jarvis Cocker with Michael Jackson. And Kanye West brought on all his grime mates and offended people who felt intimidated by the television. And last year, Stormzy had a pop at Theresa May. You sort of look to the Brits for a little bit of controversy and excitement, I think, even though it's sometimes not the greatest musical show on earth. Instead, what do we get?
Robin, like all these things, we went into the Brits, as I always go into these programmes, really hoping for a superb night of entertainment and not something that you want to cynically try and slag off.
No, of course not. I never cynically slag anything off. But I think I was watching a different show I had a look at some of the press reviews of this, and for example, The Express said that Jack Whitehall left viewers in hysterics with his hilarious commentary on the action. I wasn't aware of any hilarious commentary.
What do they say? Victory has 1,000 fathers, defeat is always an orphan. And Jack Whitehall was a massive orphan last night because you could visibly see him dying.
I think he needed to do some more ad-libs. It seemed a wee bit scripted.
Well, he had cue cards, for Christ's sake.
Did he?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, he threw one away when it really bombed. The weirdest thing was, the ad breaks came thick and fast during this Brits, and I think it's because it must have been really boring and people weren't making long speeches as they normally do. But as I noticed on either the first or second ad break, we had, and this is the thing I hate about this hand-in-hand stuff, with your compere having free adverts for his stand-up show 2019.
I don't think he's going to get many ticket sales off that, is he?
Oh, I'm telling you what, put it this way, he bombed all through the night and I certainly didn't need a corset to stop my side splitting, do you know what I mean?
No, mate. According to the Telegraph, he saved the night with slick comparing and caustic wit.
Well, Robin, this is like when you went to a football game and you had to report on the match, yeah? You'd pre-write your first couple of pars. And also, when you're expecting something, your perception is slightly different because you're expecting something, therefore you think it will happen. And when it doesn't, it takes a while to sink in that it's actually crap.
Yeah, someone still wrote a headline saying caustic wit, though. I thought he was going for very easy targets. He made at least two jokes about Simon Cowell's face and another
Piers Morgan.
Sleazy joke about Piers Morgan during his entirely sleazy session with Little Mix.
Oh.
Where he was talking about dads round the country. What an old-fashioned concept, dads round the country. It sounds like, when people used to talk about Pan's people on top of the pops, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Dads round the country reaching for a scatter cushion. Which is pathetic.
To put on their lap. And as well as that, when he was interviewing Jess from Little Mix, who'd done the sort of nude photo shoot about, female empowerment, being confident about her body and all the rest of it, and all he could do was leer about their raunchy show, as he called it.
Well, he's in good company with The Express, isn't he? Because in the end of their ludicrous review, it says the final line of the review, because they just have to get something in about this here. They put Little Mix performed in the award show as well. They donned some pink PVC and flaunted their figures. Full stop. That's the end of the review.
It was.
They've always got to get a flaunted figure in somewhere. I enjoyed Little Mix, although as you pointed out, it looked a bit like they were lip syncing.
I don't mind lip syncing per se because it's difficult. They went for a massive, spectacular visual with ranks of masked backup dancers and all the rest of it, and it was a pretty involved choreography thing. So I guess you had to sacrifice one for the other. But I would have preferred them to sing it. But I certainly wasn't reaching for a scatter cushion. The other thing, Robin, was that I noticed on the credits, which I was so stunned by the rubbish standard of the script, is that I wondered, surely he couldn't possibly have written it himself. So I waited for the credits, and as they rolled through, I saw that there was 7 scriptwriters came up with that.
Really? 7 scriptwriters? 7.
So there used to always be the old adage that said, if you had an infinite number of monkeys on typewriters and given an infinite amount of time, they would come up with the complete works of Shakespeare. But
never believed that, to be honest.
I didn't either, but what I do believe now is that you get 7 monkeys can only manage that sixth form smutty innuendo crap.
Well, yeah, it was pretty grim, wasn't it?
Oh, man.
The monkeys would be ashamed of that.
Yeah, they would be, definitely. And
it didn't have the wit of a monkey's tea party, did it?
It didn't, and they certainly wouldn't be putting scatter cushions across their crotches.
Well, the monkeys don't bother with scatter cushions.
No, they're pretty uninhibited, to be frank.
You must have been to the zoo.
Yeah. Hang on, you're getting as bad as Jack Whitehall here.
And also, among all the lame jokes, did you notice the thing about the BRIT festival, BRYT? They had a fake commercial at the beginning saying, unlimited mineral water and stuff like that.
Yeah, that really threw me, Robin.
Why?
I had no real idea what was going on, but when we were chatting about this before we started recording, you gave me a bit of background on it.
Yeah, it's a fire festival.
Which would have been nice if they'd done it.
Yeah, but they think everyone's in on it. They're media hipsters, mate. Although the lack of laughter suggested
maybe they're not, yeah.
Ja Rule set up Fire Festival and people spent, $20,000 a night or something when they got there. There was nothing there except a few ropey tents and they were shooting each other over sleeping bags and being given Pam sandwiches to eat, and none of the artists turned up. It was a complete disaster. That's what they were taking the piss out of.
Well, I mean,
it was just a bit unclear.
Well, at least if they'd set up the gag, it would have been quite nice, because then that would have sort of reminded me of, these every year you get it, come to Winter Wonderland with your kids. And there will always be a shocked number of parents who then take to Twitter and write into the Daily Mail saying, I went to Winter Wonderland in Slough and there was no snow. Santa was drunk and we had cows wearing reindeer dealy boppers, and it was all for £100. What a rip-off.
I suppose they didn't really put it in context. They just had Jack Whitehall standing next to a little tent and then he wasn't again.
Totally bizarre. Which must have been one of the sort of things that those 7 genius scriptwriters thought was going to go down a storm.
To be honest, overall I was disappointed with the live performances. I mean, some of the stage sets were quite spectacular, but these guys like Rag and Bone Man, to me that's just soul music for Terry Wogan fans,
No, Robin. No, he was by far not the worst, because that little triptych that Calvin Harris was involved in was not too bad compared to the mediocrity that was George Ezra.
Has he only got the one song? I think he has, hasn't he? It's phenomenally catchy. Once you've heard it, you can't get it out of your head.
No, mate. What it is it's already music that you listen to in the lift.
It's not that bad.
When he's singing about riding shotgun, sitting in the hot sun, it just reminds me of something that the In-Betweeners would have listened to, or talked about. It's U-certificate stuff. It's so bland, it's unbelievable.
He's the latest version of the type of guy that's the sort of person that, if you'll bear with me here, James Blunt, that's what I'm talking about. Very bland, posh,
absolutely, and
pointless pop music.
And he was a totem for the whole evening, if you like, because it was massively bland and never got out of third gear, really.
Well, actually, when the 1975 did their live stint, I turned around and said, "Wow, this is good." They don't normally sound like a hot Marvin Gaye jam, but then the bloke started singing and they didn't, and it was another big disappointment. The problem with these shows, and you were going to talk about Pink, right?
Yeah.
The one outstanding contribution, right?
Yeah.
And she is she's sort of heading for her Graham Norton years, isn't she? She's not the zeitgeist anymore, but she did put on a good show. But these big shows have just become sort of one-uppable. Big flames.
I think a lot of it, and I don't know whether this, I'm not the demographic for the Brits, but I just harked for a little bit of raw rudeness, people saying inappropriate things, and just not a lot of what looked like nice, polite singer-songwriter types,
Well, that brings us on to the awards, doesn't it? Because the awards themselves, apart from the actual show, the acceptance speeches were all, with only one exception, kind of extremely bland. And even that one wasn't because of what they said. It was when Jay-Z and Beyonce appeared in front of that bizarre picture of Meghan Markle dressed as the Mona Lisa in a crown.
Yeah,
what the hell was that about?
It was just so weird. And also,
I think they were making a point.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. But the thing I thought was also very weird about it was that I didn't know that they'd started calling themselves the Carters now.
Oh, no, I knew that.
Okay.
Although I must say, I knew they were calling themselves the Carters, but I wouldn't have had them in the category of international group.
No, absolutely not.
No. But there they were. Anyway, as I said, I think they were trying to say something. Not sure what it was, but they made their point, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But mind you, if you're scrabbling around for that as your high point of the evening in terms of, some sort of comment on the zeitgeist of where we are in 21st century music, I think you're struggling.
Well, I am. Well, I would be. I definitely am. But here's when you go back to, I thought things might be more interesting when they went to the first award, which was male solo, because apart from Craig David and and George Ezra, who won it, they had the Aphex Twin and Giggs in there. How the hell did they get on the shortlist? I mean, Giggs would have caused a bit of controversy. Aphex Twin, I doubt if he was there to pick up the award if he'd won it. But
what about his other twin? Where was his other twin?
He doesn't have one, mate. It's just a figure of speech.
Oh, right. I was wondering, maybe he was the sort of like, a bit like Matt and Luke Goss, that they'd fallen out a bit and one of them had sort of like hit stardom.
No, the Aphex Twin sits in the studio on his own, coaxing amazing sounds out of Walker's crisp packets and old trainers and stuff.
Okay.
He doesn't need a twin. And
also, just harking back to how rubbish Jack Whitehall was, when he tried to take the piss out of Ross. I mean, how pathetic was that?
Well, all the stuff about the Conkers, it was more excuse for him to do smutty innuendo,
smutty things about cocks.
No, well, come on, that's a bit blunt. Well, he'd made a joke about using protection because they'd been having that little riff in the Bros documentary about having to wear goggles to play Conkers.
I know, yeah, but it was just, it felt like I was back in sixth form.
It was grim. Doesn't say much about the state of comedy if that's caustic wit, does it?
Well, that caustic wit is available to buy now for the 2019 stand-up tour for Jack Whitehall, so I'm online at the moment as we speak.
Don't keep plugging it, mate. Anyway, when George Ezra won and done his boring acceptance speech, Jack Whitehall said, "Yeah, well, the kind of guy you'd like to take home to meet your parents." And that's what we've got here, isn't it? There's none of the kind of outrage that music should have. It's like... In the 60s, the Rolling Stones, it was, would you let your daughter marry a Rolling Stone? The complete
certainly
opposite,
not. Yeah, certainly not.
And then the other, actually, there was something funny in the female artist because it was the closest it came to a sort of Sam Fox moment when Nile Rodgers couldn't read the cue cards and had to actually look up. I don't know where they were, at the back of the arena or something. He looked like he was looking far away.
Yeah.
And he also made a massive slip when he said the award for the BRIT Best female artist.
Well, I think Best Brexit award would have gone to Jacob Rees-Mogg, wouldn't it?
Brexit. Brexit. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of Brexit. Yeah. Well, then they got on to the Best Band, which was another boring award, which the 1975 one. Totally unoriginal, as he won it 2 years ago, and now they were back. But in their speech, at least they said something about what Laura Snapes of The Guardian had said about male misogynist acts being examined for nuance, and their badness kind of being seen as an attribute of a tortured male genius, something like that. So, bless them for adding a bit of politics into a bland night. At least they tried, didn't they?
Absolutely. The only thing was, I guess, for legal reasons, you couldn't mention who this was being directed at.
I don't know if it's that bad. It's Ryan Adams, but I mean, probably not meant to say his name on national TV. We can probably mention him.
Yeah.
And then I had a breakthrough. I got a bit confusing after that because the next thing he had was Breakthrough, which Georgia Smith was in again, but she's already broken through. And then look, I thought I was doing pretty well here because I knew nearly everyone who'd been there and all the acts and stuff.
Okay.
Who wins this? Can you remember who won Breakthrough?
No.
Some fisherman in a hat called Tom Walker.
Yes.
He looked like he just got off a boat. He's screwed after Brexit, mate, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, he's not going to be fishing anywhere. He'll be fishing on the Serpentine.
Never heard of him. I don't think he is a fisherman, he just looked like one.
But no, it was, just very weird. I mean, I do wonder, it reminded me a little bit of like when we were talking about icons, is who sets up the shortlist in the first place? It always just does seem a little bit like these decisions are always being made for you.
I know that the video of the year, which Little Mix won, that was one that the public voted for.
Yeah.
It might be the only one the public voted for. And they did a lot of profuse thanks for that, because they're quite nice, Little Mix. I quite like them as characters.
And also, I like the way that they split from Cal, because there must come a point when you get fed up of being totally exploited.
Yeah, get exploited by someone else.
Yeah.
They gave out loads of thanks and they didn't thank Nicki Minaj, who was the star of their record.
Well, ignored by omission. So, there wasn't any. It wasn't even like faint praise for Nicki Minaj. You
can't even say her name. The world's greatest entertainer, and you can't say her name, mate. And then, it was got a bit predictable then, because you do your international stuff, the Carters and Meghan Markle, Drake, another one of my favourites, but a predictable winner.
Oh, I tell you,
and Ariana Grande. I'm glad she won it because she deserves a bit of kudos. And then the ultimate predictable award, global success, Ed Sheeran.
Oh, that makes me spew. It really does.
Well, no, why does it make you spew?
Well, I hate to be sightist, But every time I hear Ed Sheeran, or see him more to the point, he reminds me something out of Lord of the Rings, to be honest. And I know you shouldn't say that, and the music stands on its own as well. But for me, the music is so, like the Galway Girl single. It was like Irish bingo. It's throw every single cliche about Ireland into the whole show, and you get a hit single.
The award was for global success, not musical maturity and talent.
I appreciate that, but
27 billion streams on Spotify.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can't argue with that. But
that's more than us.
But
if you knock off a billion,
well, put it this
not a billion. If you knock off the billion,
our bot is obviously not as good as his.
No, that's all it is. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So then they did Video of the Year. Bros presented that, which was quite amusing. But it wasn't, was it? Because they're not amusing.
Well,
they haven't got anything funny to say unless they're being filmed in a fly-in-the-wall documentary about their tortured comeback bid.
Well, you know, both of us warmed to Bros as we watched and reviewed that documentary, and I thought they were pretty cool in the face of some really juvenile attempts to take the rise out of them from Jack Whitehall. They didn't make any horrible sort of like, you know, self-parodying errors like HOME and all that sort of stuff. They just said, you know, he said to them, what would you recommend to anyone who is starting off from a young age and facing the rigours of stardom? I think it was it Matt said, just enjoy it and live it, you know?
Yes, he did, yeah.
And
great profound advice there from Matt.
As usual.
Yeah.
You're as bad as Jack Whitehall.
No, I just think you can be too nice to Bros. And then 1975 won Album of the Year, and what was it Whitehall said? He said, oh yeah, the band that Q magazine have called the band of the decade, which just about says it all really, doesn't it? The thing is, this has had a sort of quite a good response in the media, and yet if you take this whole event as a barometer of popular culture, or the zeitgeist, or whatever people want to call it, it's pretty lame, isn't it? For a start, a lot of people on it were very posh, particularly the artists. I'm going to excuse like Georgia Smith and the Scottish Fishermen and Calvin Harris, but nevertheless, you know, your George Ezras and some of these other people, they're all kind of indicative of how the music business is sort of... And people who go to public school, who used to all become, you know, QCs or whatever else. What do people from public school do apart from become QCs?
Accountants and members of Parliament, normally.
But now they've seen, with the success of people like James Blunt ages ago, that there are other careers open to them also in entertainment, you know. So you've ended up with these kind of entitled poshos. It's sort of invading the music business. They'll probably be in the boxing ring next, mate, taking on Tyson Fury. They're all over the place.
Not just the music business. It's across all cultural forums. I mean, look at the acting business now. I mean, this is now the exclusive domain of people that went to Eton, it seems.
And you've got this poshness, right? And maybe that is the reason for this. Despite the fact that the 1975 had their little jab at being political and feminist, and pardon me, someone else said that there was many females nominated as males this year, which is really important because the music biz, you know, used to be incredibly male dominated. You've still got this overall tone of smut and sexism, like Confessions of a Window Cleaner's type humour from Jack.
No, because that would be too working class, Robin. Wouldn't it be better maybe Confessions of an investment banker? Everything was, you know, I don't want to come across all PC about it and all the rest of it, but are we really at the stage where this posh sixth form smutty innuendo passes as cutting-edge humour, and in the same way that this elevator muzak passes for stuff that's supposed to get you excited and want to go and smash down the doors and go out and sort of like, you know, let your hair down type of music. I mean, music was supposed to excite and get you going, not something you'd listen to with your bloody parents. And also, what's this thing about bringing in injured footballers to present the awards? I mean, we had Daniel Sturridge in there for the first one with Paloma Faith.
He looked like he was still under anaesthetic.
He did. And obviously we had Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who is going out with one of the girls from Little Mix, so I suppose he has got a reason to be there. But we have these relentless fawning cutaways to him.
Well, that's how these things operate, isn't it?
It just was such... I was so looking forward to it, because, you know, there's always not something you can take out of these things. And it was just like... Yeah.
Come on, what can you take out of them?
Nothing. That I've heard the elevator music before I've got in the elevator.
It's a shame. But maybe next year will be better. Actually, Sean, when you're talking about the blandness of it, if you have a quick look at the recent breakthrough acts that have won it,
Okay.
it's really not very exciting. Like Duffy, JLS, Tiny Temper, Ed Sheeran, Ben Howard, Bastille, Sam Smith, Catfish and the Bottlemen, which that must have been a real low point, Rag and Bone Man and Dua Lipa, so
Yeah, it's,
Tom Walker.
yeah, it's fairly.
This year.
It is fairly bland, really, isn't it? But then, isn't it like all these awards where, isn't it always when you have votes that it's the mediocrity that rises to the top rather than something out there that you think...
Yeah, it is. It's true. I mean, the year that Rag and Bone Man won Breakthrough, he beat Skepta and Stormzy, so that just about says it all.
Well, there you go.
Is there anything more you can say about the Brits and the zeitgeist? We're giving them too much kudos by associating them with the zeitgeist.
This thing is voted for or chosen by people that are looking for something with mass appeal. A little bit like you used to have, I mean, my God, I don't know, years ago when I was a kid, and it was like, do you remember Saturday night at the London Palladium?
Well, I don't know, mate, I was usually out smashing up phone boxes and
Sniffing glue. Yeah, I appreciate that, Robin. Yeah, whereas I was watching that with Mum and Dad, and it would be some like dodgy magician, you know, pulling doves out of his pocket, and not the type of doves you're thinking about, and basically some mediocre, you know, rendition of Half a Sixpence by Tommy Steele.
It would have been great if someone had come on halfway through last night and started pulling doves out of a cardboard box. That would have got things going, wouldn't
Well,
it?
it certainly would have raised the temperature.
They could have sawed Jack Whitehall in half.
Yeah, without the trick.
For real. Anyway, that's the Brits for this year. We won't be watching them next year.
Well, we live in hope, Robin. We live in hope.
Could be very exciting next time round.
Yeah, exactly.
Although going by past performance, there's no guarantee of anything exciting happening in the future.
A bit like those warnings you get with those dodgy financial products.
Levels of entertainment may go down as well as up.
Yeah.
And on that note, the Brits, a musical note, we'll wrap it up, and we won't be saying any more about the Brits at all this week.
Hold on, Robin. Now we're done. I just need a pint of milk, so I'm just going to go into the lift, press ground, and I think that brings up George Ezra for a nice bit of Shotgun.
Very nice, and that's the end of the Brits for this week. Next week we'll be back with something a lot more cerebral, but equally laughable. We'll be reviewing the government's Leave EU website,
which I think maybe Theresa May should make the whole thing, you know, turn those frowns upside down, and let's do a sort of like 2019 Brexit Awards. Chuka Umunna could be in there. Jacob Rees-Mogg defending concentration camps during the Boer War.
It would be a great ceremony. So we'll be back next week with that. And in the meantime, the usual stuff. Thanks for listening. Listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube if you don't mind.
Check us out on Twitter.
Twitter, yeah, at review_modern. And the website, modernmediareview.com.
Absolutely.
Also, thanks to Rowan Talent for his brilliant illustrations.
And you have been working for old Rowan like a dog.
No, he's been doing one picture a week.
What?
It's hardly getting down a coal mine, is it?
Well, as an artist, that's the equivalent.
I know, every brushstroke's torn from his soul.
Exactly.
Just like these words.
Exactly.
And on that heartfelt note, we'll say good night and see you next week.
Good night.
Bye.